is on a hunt. It is several regional parties in several states which are feeling insecure about their own future, who are feeling stifled by their lack of leadership in their own parties. People who are feeling suffocated by the dynastic culture in the party where family members only get promoted and people who have given their sweat and blood for the party have no future in the party whatsoever. So it is this kind of suffocation in regional parties which is making them exit from their
Are you
parties.
saying
Or
that the
rather,
BJP has a hands-off approach? Are you seriously telling me that the BJP is not making any effort to break these parties or woo these parties? I am told that Amit Shah ji has had late night meetings with Chandrababu Naidu, the same Chandrababu Naidu who was your opponent 5 years ago in Andhra Pradesh. Late night meetings. I am told that the Akalis are also in discussion with the BJP. The BJP is letting out the fact they claim that even a section of the JDU could split and join them. I mean, are you telling me all of this is happening without the BJP being involved? These parties are imploding on their own?
yes, certainly. Implosion in these parties has nothing to do with the BJP. But if somebody who splits away, because we had a government in Maharashtra which was running as a stable government, and the NCP's internal turmoil has led to a split, or rather, I would say, the entire party leaving lock, stock, and barrel and joining with the BJP or joining the BJP in the coalition government. This is certainly not an effort by the BJP. You can, if it was so easy that BJP makes an effort and you can split political parties, then I think no party should be existing. Then we can make an effort to bring every party into the BJP fold. It doesn't happen that way. Let's not kid ourselves. In politics, political parties, they work according to their own interest. Leaders certainly work according to their own future. Otherwise, why should we be having all 543?
Well, we never know. There's a joke going on WhatsApp that the final person to split will be Rahul Gandhi, who will one day join you. At the moment, he's the one holding out. Everyone else is vulnerable. That's a joke on WhatsApp. Charan Singh Sapra, but respond to what you're hearing from GBL. He says, look, parties are imploding. NCP has a battle within Pawar versus Pawar. Why blame us? They may be the beneficiaries, but according to him, the BJP is not actively seeking any allies. Parties are coming to them because they believe the BJP is the future.
See, Rajdeep, if the parties are, there is a echo. Please remove this. If the parties are imploding, then why Bharatiya Janata Party is allying with the people whom they themselves have said that they are Bhrashtacharis? Why are they allying with them? Or why are they taking them into their party? Number one. See, Rajdeep, the issue mainly is that Bharatiya Janata Party, who calls themselves the so-called Majboot Party, Majboot BJP, is turned out to be a Majboor BJP after the Patna alliance meeting. And secondly, they also understand that they have lost 2 assembly elections, that is Himachal and Karnataka, within a span of 6-7 months. And they tried everything in Karnataka and Himachal Pradesh. Even Himachal was a Hindu majority state. They could not win over there. Even Pakistan and polarization both could not help them. Even Basavna and Bajrangbali did not come to the rescue of Bharatiya Janata Party because they also knew that BJP is working on 3 J's. That is Jhoot, Jumla and Jugglery. The way they have done the jugglery in Maharashtra, the whole nation is watching. The way they did the jugglery earlier in Madhya Pradesh or Karnataka or Goa or Manipur,
Mr. Sapra, you're calling it jugglery.
The whole nation is
you're
watching
calling
that
it
BJP
jugglery,
is
but
doing
why are
jugglery.
your people so willing to be juggled? Let's be clear. Why is it that the NCP is so, in Maharashtra, for example, is so willing to be juggled? Why are other parties so willing to be, to be wooed by the BJP? Tali do haath se bajti hai.
See, I'm answering you. See, the way BJP is using the ED, IT, CBI, all the government agencies are being used as the toolkit of Bharatiya Janata Party's election process. Now these agencies, if they are being used by BJP as toolkit, everybody is scared. You see who has joined this alliance government. It is Ajit Pawar, whom they said that he's a Bhrashtachari. Hassan Mushrif, Kirit Somaiya was shouting, he was yelling, he's a chore. And they have taken that chore as a minister. Then Chhagan Bhujbal, all these people, BJP has been saying that they are the Bhrashtacharis. It is not Congress party who's saying. It is BJP who said, and it is the Prime Minister of the country who also said that he will give a guarantee to fight the Bhrashtacharis. Now the same Prime Minister is allying with these Bhrashtacharis. He has to answer to the nation. वो कहते हैं कि ना खाऊंगा ना खाने दूंगा, लेकिन यहाँ आप कह रहे हैं कि खाने वालों को प्रोत्साहन भी दूंगा और खाने की खुली इजाजत दूंगा. What is going on in this country? Just for power, just to grab power. You made the point. Power of BJP is not going.
You made the point. You made it strongly. But GVL, you want to respond before I go to the JDU guest? Because the fact is, you know, the BJP claims that they are the party which is above all this, the politics of corruption. And yet what you seem to be doing is, because ahead of the 2024 elections, you want to break the opposition. You're willing to compromise on what you claim was your stand on corruption. That's the reality. The same Chandrababu Naidu who was targeting you, as I said 5 years ago, Amit Shah is now in conversation, in dialogue with him. The same Ajit Pawar, whom you said is the epitome of corruption, who Devendra Fadnavis said, I will send to jail. You are now, is your deputy chief minister. Is the BJP getting desperate ahead of 2024 in some way, sir?
No, Rajdeep, all the names that you mentioned, these are political leaders who have been making strong overtures to the BJP, who have been wanting to, because they all have been out of power. It is BJP has been in power. For God's sake, we are in power for 9 years. And
so then why do you need these leaders? No, if you are in power, if you are so confident of winning 2024, why do you need to break parties? Why do you need to take the same people whom you've called corrupt? That's the question.
No, there is no question of breaking political parties, Rajdeep. And it's not the BJP.
Why take in ministers accused of corruption then? If you are so confident, why take in these ministers? Either then you are a washing machine for them, or you're desperate to break the opposition. Which is
it? But is Congress party saying that they had made Ajit Pawar corrupt, fully knowing that he was, they had made him deputy chief minister, fully knowing he was corrupt? Or is Sharad Pawar willing to say this on record?
BJP was saying that he's corrupt.
Is Sharad Pawar willing to say this on record? Can Sharad Pawar claim himself to be clean? Can Rahul Gandhi say he's clean?
They are all facing charges. As corrupt, not Congress.
Okay, they are claiming you are. Congress is claiming BJP said they were corrupt.
Then you are not going. They are already facing certain charges. And whatever cases are ongoing against anybody, they will go irrespective of whether they have joined the government or outside the government, whether it is of BJP or that of UPA. It does not matter. We have not dropped any cases against anybody.
Let me just bring in Abhishek Jha, who's patiently listening, JDU, because the belief is, Aaj Maharashtra, kal Bihar. Today Maharashtra, tomorrow Bihar. The next vulnerable party, according to BJP sources, is the JDU. They will target Nitish Kumar's MLAs and try and break the JDU. How worried is the JDU now that you could be next?
We were earlier also relaxed and now also very much relaxed. Busy in doing work for the welfare of the society and the responsibility which the people of Bihar have given to Honorable Nitish Kumar. I would like to answer.
No, but this is a Nitish Kumar who has tied up with the BJP in the past. Who is to say that some of your JDU MLAs may not want to switch to the BJP? Everyone wants power and protection.
See, many of the states have witnessed how BJP have used their tools, have used their Sam, Dam, Dandabhed just to acquire power, just to be in the government. They have utilized every tool they have. But Bihar is the only state which has taught a very strong and good lesson to the BJP. Bihar is the state which has given a message to the entire nation that there can be change. And BJP here is filled with fear. Rajdeep, I agree with the fact that what has happened in Maharashtra can also take place in Bihar. In Maharashtra, a party in the opposition, many of the MLAs broke and joined the government. Here also in Bihar, the main opposition party, BJP, there's so many leaders, their MLAs, MPs are very much willing to join hands with the Mahagathbandhan. But we have to decide the process and whom to choose.
No,
Because
no, but
BJP
Abhishek,
knows very
Abhishek
well
Jha,
that in Bihar they cannot
Abhishek
compete with
Jha,
us.
only yesterday the charge sheets have now been filed in the railway job scam case where Tejasvi Yadav has been named. In the past, Nitish Kumar had targeted Tejasvi Yadav and the Yadavs for corruption. Now they are partners. So, you know, politics mein sab kuch chalta hai, it looks like. How confident are you that your Mahagathbandhan will remain? This Bihar Mahagathbandhan, will it remain till 2024?
Why not? We are very much confident about it. And as per my information, Rajdeep, the charge sheet which has been put up now, the charges which have been put on Tejasvi Yadav ji, were earlier also put up on him. And the CBI itself claimed that he is away from those charges. But CBI now is intentionally putting up such cases in order to threaten the leaders of opposition.
Right.
But we are very sure of the fact that they will never be successful in their mission.
Okay.
In Bihar,
you're
under
saying
the
they
leadership
won't.
of Ajit
You're
Pawar,
saying
they
they
are very
won't.
strong.
Okay. You're saying that your Gathbandhan is strong, but Charan Singh Sapra, let's understand this. For the Congress at the moment, this Mahagathbandhan is seen as their way of taking on the Modi government in 2024. Are you worried that because there are so many differences within this Mahagathbandhan, let's be honest, Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress have a lot of differences. The left and the Congress in Kerala have differences. KCR in Telangana doesn't want to have anything to do with the Congress. Are you going to go down the Mahagathbandhan route, or are you going to go down the route of first strengthening the Congress and then seeing what happens in 2024?
See, Rajdeep, number one, I would like to say कि हमारे में मतभेद हैं लेकिन मनभेद नहीं है. We will handle the situation, and the 2024 elections will be, like 2004 election. There will be some pre-poll alliances and some will be the post-poll alliances. Like in 2004, we had pre-poll alliances. We got 140 seats under the leadership of Srimati Sonia Gandhi. A candidate for Prime Minister was selected, and Dr. Manmohan Singh comfortably he could run the government for 10 years. We had post-poll alliances also. So similarly, in 2024, we'll have pre-poll alliances as well as some post-poll alliances, and there will be no issue. The major issue is that we have to fight on the issues of people. It will be Modi versus Mudda. Modi on one side and issues on the other side. So the fight of 2024 will be Modi versus Mudda.
Okay, Modi versus Mudda. Nice. You're coming up.
Unemployment, it will be inflation.
Yeah, you're coming up with nice one-liners. Modi versus Mudda, poverty, unemployment, economic distress will be the issues. A final word, GVL Narasimha Rao, how worried is the BJP? You're smiling through this show. The BJP seems to believe that 2024 is a done deal. Do you really believe it's a done deal, or do you believe that picture abhi baki hai?
Rajdeep, the manner in which BJP works, I'm sure journalists like you keep track of what is happening. We have fanned out into 543 constituencies for the last 1 month. For the last year and a half, in 150 constituencies which are considered tough constituencies, all our ministers and senior leaders have been visiting everywhere. We are in the process of even appointing new state presidents in some states.
You've done
and
it today.
keeping the organization battle ready. The opposition, by the time Rahul Gandhi goes for another foreign yatra and comes back, he will realize that he may not get the number of seats that he has got last time for the Congress in 2019. Okay, so the speed at which the speed, the scale, the three S's the Honorable Prime Minister speaks of: speed, scale, and also the intensity of the efforts that BJP makes are so humongous. And as a political party, we take pride in ourselves.
Okay.
For us, we have to work towards gaining the confidence of the people. We have to expand our party. We have to keep ourselves battle ready for 2024 to improve upon our present strength of 303.
Okay, and that's why
we are confident of doing that.
okay, we'll leave it there. Where then the Ajit Pawars and the Chhagan Bhujbals and the Hassan Mushrifs, whom you accused of corruption not too long ago, fit in, is of course another big question. But we will continue raising those questions. This is one show which will raise questions of all, is all I can promise ahead of 2024. Abhishek Jha, Charan Singh Sapra, GVL Narasimha Rao, appreciate your joining us. Okay. What then is the road ahead for the opposition? Remember, they had this big meeting in Patna, and now they are planning another one in Bengaluru. Derek O'Brien, TMC Rajya Sabha leader, joins us. He was there at the Patna meeting. Appreciate your joining us, Derek O'Brien. If I'm not mistaken, I was told you were at the lunch table with Praful Patel of the NCP, and the same Praful Patel was on my show last night saying this Mahagathbandhan is a non-starter. One of the reasons we've joined hands with the BJP and the leadership of Modi is what we trust. This Mahagathbandhan is not going to take off. Your response?
I can tell you who else was at that lunch table, and I can tell you who else was at that meeting, because that's important. The people at the meeting, and I'm not talking about people like me who were accompanying our leaders, leave them out. There were, all parties had one or two people accompanying their party president. At that meeting, party president, party chief, that group of core leaders, including my leader Mamta Banerjee, Mr. Kharge, Rahul Gandhi, Mr. Stalin, Mr. Kejriwal, Mr. Pawar, Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, that if you take that one group, that adds up to about 25 terms of chief minister. That group adds up to about 50 terms as members of parliament. That group adds up to 400 years of public life. That is all of them.
That group
together.
Adds up, Mr. Derek O'Brien, to less than 150 MPs.
I see. So you finished. I was giving you my explanation. You've already done the survey, 150 MPs. That group has obviously had some serious effect, because after the Patna summit, less than 10 days ago, the washing machine businesses started. And by the way, you keep using the washing machines. What I've picked up is that the Washing Machine Association of India may object to the term washing machine being used because it's an insulting, the BJP's actions are even insulting the washing machines. But on a more serious note, what is on offer? Let's say what is on offer, because in 2024 and beyond that, 3 or 4 basic issues on offer. On one side, what we are humbly offering the country is democracy. On the other side, there's dictatorship. We're offering the young people of the country jobs and controlling price rise. On the other side, no jobs, no control of price rise. And we are offering the country that the guiding book will be the constitution, federalism, and on the other side, break it all up. And there's one other very
what is your
important thing.
No. You're all very well jobs. Where is your clear economic agenda? Where is your clear economic agenda? Where is the political cohesion? Where is the chemistry?
Very nice. Mr. Sardesai, what are you asking me about? Mr. Economic agenda. You're asking me about political agenda. You're asking me about chemistry. Let me talk to you first. Before chemistry, let's talk about humility. At the Patna summit and at the Bengaluru summit and in the forthcoming summits, we have the humility to say that we don't know everything, that we occasionally make mistakes and we can fix those mistakes. You've asked me 3 questions on economic agenda, political agenda, and something else. Did you or anybody else in your very respected channel ask the Prime Minister any of these questions when he came to you? You didn't. You ask us the questions, we have the humility to come on your channels and try and answer the questions. That's the difference, Mr. Sardesai. We have the humility to admit that we don't have perfect answers, but we do not agree that Manipur should not be discussed. A leader from the Congress Party went to Manipur. My leader, Mamta Banerjee, wrote a letter in June. That's the difference. And I really believe this is not the time to shout and come up with catchy slogans. No. The people of India have seen enough of this arrogance. And you talk about the BJP, it's not the BJP. It's Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah's
No.
BJP.
No.
They disrespect Parliament.
Mr. Derek O'Brien, I will put a direct question to you. Since your Patna meet, Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress have been in a war of words here in Delhi.
Patna.
One minute. Since the Patna meet, a Congress leader of Karnataka was arrested, senior Congress leader in Kerala was arrested by the left-ruled government there. Since that meet, K. Chandrasekhar Rao is now wooing the likes of Akhilesh Yadav. Since the Patna meet, you've got your panchayat elections in Bengal where you are contesting against the left and the Congress. Chemistry matters at the moment, and you've got Sharad Pawar's party that has split wide open, including one of the participants there, Praful Patel, shifting to the other side. So therefore the question arises, the Maha Gadbandhan that you're talking about, to some observers, will appear like a Maha Khichdi, which is not yet cooked.
So that's a 55-second question. If you've asked me a 55-second question, then you must give me at least a 120-second answer, because you've raised multiple issues. First, we are different political parties. We're not photocopies of each other. Straight up. There are different issues, and those are issues which will not be discussed in the Bengaluru summit. First, we have to get a broad agreement. We are not one majoritarian, one-size-fits-all. No. We are 15, 14, 16, 18 democratic parties. That doesn't mean we don't run in a system where whatever two leaders of the Patna summit say, everyone must follow. No, we are not Modi and Shah. That's the difference. I was at that meeting, and let me tell you, the graciousness, the generosity of the senior leaders there who spoke, from my leader, Ms. Mamata Banerjee, to Mr. Stalin, to Mr. Gandhi, to Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, to Arvind Kejriwal, to Sharad Pawar, to Omar Abdullah, something very serious happened there. It was much more than a lunch, and it was much more, it was sharing.
No, it's all very well to share, Mr. O'Brien. It's all very well to share thoughts at a lunch. The reality on the ground, no, Mr. O'Brien. What is the reality? The reality, you and the left and the Congress are in a battle, in a war in Bengal. That's the reality. Aam Aadmi Party versus Congress is a battle. This is the reality.
Please understand. No. Mr. Sardesai, you're using these words like war. We are fighting panchayat elections in Bengal. Yes, the local leadership in Bengal of different parties have different alignments. Mr. Kejriwal and the Congress party have a different point of view about Punjab and Delhi. Let's go back to January on your shows, January 2023. Would you have imagined there would have been a Patna summit? Would you have imagined there'd be a Bengaluru summit? Let me confirm here on your program, I'm not the spokesperson on behalf of the summits, but my sense is there'll be a third summit and there'll be a fourth summit. And because the feeling one got at that meeting, and this is not a negative feeling about removing Modi and removing BJP, no, it's a positive feeling about restoring the basics of democracy, of federalism, of deep divisive, interreligious. Let me finish my thought.
Yes.
Mr. Sardesai, you're normally not like this. But today because you're from Maharashtra, you're getting a little more excited.
I will ask you a simple, Mr. O'Brien, a final question. I heard a lot of this in 2019 as well. Ahead of the 2019 elections, you all went to Mr. Kumaraswamy swearing in. All of you were holding each other's hands. Now you attend Siddaramaiah swearing in, and you do the Patna meeting. What happened in 2019? Final question, how is 2024 going to be any different from 2019?
It's already very different. It's already very different. I'll make one last point about how different it is. Mr. Guarantor against corruption, Mr. Modi, a few days ago he said, I'm the guarantor of corruption. The story for India is only one story. This man is the guarantor for corruption, wants to please 100 people. This is the guarantor for corruption who can fill the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad with the corrupt people in his party. Who will you trust as a guarantor for corruption? In Bengal, you will trust Ms. Mamata Banerjee. She's your guarantor for corruption. In the Congress states, you will trust Rahul Gandhi and the local leadership to be the guarantor for corruption.
Mr. O'Brien, there's a long list of TMC leaders also who face charges of corruption.
So don't tell me about corruption.
There are TMC leaders who also face serious
Sorry?
charges of corruption.
You said what?
There are TMC leaders who also face serious charges of corruption.
Exactly. Mr. Sardesai, you've said something about TMC leaders, so you have to give me an opportunity to reply. The two TMC leaders who have faced charges of corruption have been expelled and suspended from the party. Hold on. Those who want the washing machine to be used for their corruption, what did they do? Whether they are from Worli, whether they are from Madhya Pradesh, whether they are from wherever in the country, what do? You join the BJP. You go in with your black t-shirt and you come out with a white t-shirt.
Okay.
We are very, very clear. Don't take us, please underestimate us. I want all of you to underestimate this Bengaluru summit. You keep underestimating us, Please carry on doing that.
I'm not
We are
underestimating
not here to brag on
anyone. I've
primetime
been long
television.
enough in this business
We're
to know who knows what tomorrow brings. I'm not a soothsayer. My job is always is to ask the questions. Eric O'Brien looking spiffy in his blue t-shirt. Thanks very much for joining me here on the News Today. Let's take a break. On the other side is our Good News Today story and our ground report. You're watching the News Today. News without the noise.
While some of the drivers and conductors of Haryana roadways are infamous for their arrogance, Sukhbir Chotiwala is a pleasant aberration. Sukhbir, who hails from Rithal village of Rohtak, works as an operator of Haryana roadways. Working since 2017, Sukhbir makes sure his passengers are comfortable. In the scorching heat, Sukhbir serves water to all the passengers from his salary.
मेरी ड्यूटी जयपुर रूट पे लगी थी सोनीपत से जयपुर तो उस टाइम बहुत गर्मी थी तो मैंने वहाँ देखा सवारी बच्चे पानी के लिए गर्मी में बहुत बुरा हाल था जी तो मैंने सोचा ड्यूटी के साथ साथ क्यों ना थोड़ा ये धर्मपुन का काम भी हो जाए और उसी दिन से आते मैंने 4 कैंपर खरीदे और अगले दिन मैं कैंपर ही लेके गया रूट पे और ये जल की सेवा फिर वहीं से शुरू की जी मैंने
Sukhbir's selfless act has impressed Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar, who praised Sukhbir in a tweet and invited him to Chandigarh to felicitate him. No wonder Sukhbir's bus is a favourite among passengers amid the prevailing heat wave condition. Bureau Report, India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Welcome back. Let's turn to tonight's ground report, which comes from Bengal, where remember next week the big panchayat elections will take place. Ahead of the election, the big question is violence. A day after Governor Ananda Bose sent a 48-hour deadline to bring peace, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has written to the State Election Commission claiming the governor is hampering the poll process. While the political battle continues, India Today visited Bhangar in South 24's Parganas, where the TMC is locked in a fight with the Islamic Secular Front. A ground report.
Bhangar in South 24 Parganas, the epicenter of political violence in Bengal over the last few weeks. 3 people lost their lives in the clashes between the cadres of the Indian Secular Front and the Trinamool Congress as they battled to file nominations for the panchayat elections.
We from India Today arrived at South 24 Parganas' Bhangur, and we met these people who have claimed that they are not being able to return to their houses. They claim that they are afraid until the elections are done and done peacefully only, they may not be able to return to their houses.
ISF member Asma Khatun managed to file her papers on June 12th under police protection given by the Calcutta High Court. Asma, a high school history teacher from Kochua, claims she has not returned home since then. The ISF candidate is now staying at a location which she does not want to reveal, citing threats to her life.
নতুন করে একটা আমাকে মানে মেসেজ পাঠালো লোক মাধ্যমে যে ওকে খুন করা হবে, তবে গুলি করে খুন করলে এই মুহূর্তেও ভাইরাল হয়ে গেছে, ওটা ইনভেস্টিগেশন হবে বা ওদের উপরে খুনের একটা দায় আসবে, তো ওকে ও যখন রাস্তা দিয়ে যাবে ওকে অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট দেখানো হবে, মার্ডারটাকে ওকে মার্ডার করবে অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট হিসাবে, মানে গাড়ির তলায় দিয়ে ওকে পিষে দেওয়া হবে, এইরকম একটা থ্রেট।
Asma accuses the state police of being hand in glove with the ruling TMC.
আমার 2 নম্বর ব্লকে আমি যখন ডিসিআরটা কাটছিলাম কাউন্টারে, সেই সময় আরাবুল ইসলাম মানে ভাঙড়ের প্রাক্তন এমএলএ আরাবুল ইসলাম, ওনার দলবল, ওনার সঙ্গে অনেকজন মানে এই 1-200 মতন লোক ছিল, তাদেরকে নিয়ে নিচে নেমে আসলেন এবং আমার দিকে খুব মানে বড় বড় চোখ করে তাকাচ্ছে এবং ওনার সঙ্গে জাজগার মোল্লা ছিল বা আরও ছেলেরা ছিল, তারা আমাকে খুনের হুমকি দিয়েছে, তুই বাইরে বেরো, তোকে দেখে নেবো, তোকে মার্ডার করে দেবো, এই বলে আমাকে হুমকি দিল। আমি সেটাকে ওখানে একজন পুলিশ ছিল, আমি ওনাকে জানালাম যে আপনার সামনে আমাকে হুমকি দিচ্ছে, আপনি কিছু বলছেন না? বললো না, আমার কাজ হচ্ছে লাইন সোজা করা, আমি এগুলোর মধ্যে নেই।
The TMC's Bhangur strongman, Arabul Islam, blamed by the ISF, rejects the charges.
মিথ্যে কথা বলছেন, অসিদ্দিকির তো ভাষাটাই মিথ্যে। আমরা ভাঙড়ের সমস্ত মানুষের সাথে কন্টিনিউ যোগাযোগ আছে, ISF এর ছেলেরা আমাদের চোখের সামনে ঘুরে বেড়াচ্ছে।
The ISF claims many of its workers are living in fear, away from their homes. Two party workers recently met Bengal Governor CV Ananda Bose to raise their concerns. The TMC has time and again defended its government, saying incidents of violence during panchayat polls have come down from the days of left rule. With Suryagni Roy in Bhangur, Bureau Report, India Today.
Battle for Bengal. Let's turn from there and end our show tonight with a good news today story. Anna from Kazakhstan runs an NGO in India that works to provide education to underprivileged children. Through her organization, which she started during the COVID pandemic, Anna has now changed the lives of many children. It's a kind of inspiring story that leaves you with our good news today package. You stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
This woman from Kazakhstan has made it her life's mission to help underprivileged children. Anna started an NGO during COVID-19 to educate children in Jaipur who can't afford going to school. Anna's NGO, called Indian Women Impact, has been at it for 3 years now, changing the lives of so many children for the better. Acting as a bridge for children from less privileged families, she offers quality coaching alongside her team of committed teachers.
The children, those who live in Basti, they go to government school and they come here for study to get extra knowledge. My parents live in a Basti and they cannot afford expensive course and school for me and my brother and sister. So sir, we come here and study all of those subjects.
Recently, some of the NGO students from disadvantaged backgrounds also performed a French play at the famed National School of Drama in Delhi. Anna and her husband, who is a doctor, use all of their earnings to try to maintain the NGO.
It's been 3 years as we have been running this NGO, Indian Women Impact, and the entire concept is to provide the quality, world-class education to the children from underprivileged backgrounds. And the dream we have is to create the school that can accommodate 5,000.
So how does one log off? Limit yourself to one screen at a time. Spring clean your social media accounts. Use apps to bolster self-control. Don't charge your phone near your bed. Set time boundaries in usage. Use your gadgets thoughtfully. Think about whether you actually need to use your laptop or whether you need to use your phone. Is there any work really, or just using it mindlessly? Do you really need to watch TV, or you'd rather go for a walk or even take a nap, which is actually more relaxing, more refreshing?
If you ask an average person, they'll say, oh, I'm on social media for about 10-15 minutes or maybe a little bit more in there. I'm not typically there. But if they start actually analyzing their time, and there are apps and features available on these gadgets, they then come to realize that I was putting so many hours more.
Prioritizing offline relationships and getting a glimpse of what real life offers brings real joy. Try it.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 41 and minimum 28 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 29 and minimum 26 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 36 and minimum 27 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 26 and minimum 20 degrees. Chennai, maximum 33 and minimum 26 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 34 and minimum 24 degrees. Good evening, viewers. Let's take a look at the weather report across the major cities this evening. Thiruvananthapuram is at 26 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 17. Mumbai is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 59. Panji is at 27 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 26. Ahmedabad is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 44. Bhopal is at 25 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 31. Jaipur is at 34 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 44. Delhi is at 37 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 185. Srinagar is at 20 degrees Celsius with AQI being 29. Lucknow is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 50. Patna is at 33 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 64. Kolkata is at 30 degrees with an AQI of 39. Hyderabad is at 25 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 41. Bangalore is at 24 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 25. Chennai is at 31 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 27. This is all we have for you in this segment. Hope wherever you are, you find favorable weather around you. Keep watching India Today for all the weather updates with me AI Sana all through the day.
Co-powered by Bajaj Allianz Life Diabetic Term Plan. Extra Safe Polycab Green Wire.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today exposed Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. This is India's first presidency of the SCO and at the 23rd meeting of the heads of state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke of the need to take decisive action to defeat terror. He said, must fight terror in all its forms and manifestations together. He also insisted on the need to stop cross-border terrorism and for SCO countries coming together to combat radicalism that leads to both extremism and terrorism. The Prime Minister of Pakistan was listening, as were presidents of China and Russia, among other countries. Iran too has officially joined the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Before we move forward on India First, let's quickly cut across and listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
आज एससीओ से जुड़ने में अन्य देशों की रुचि इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के महत्व का प्रमाण है। इस प्रक्रिया में यह आवश्यक है कि एससीओ का मूल फोकस मध्य एशियाई देशों के हितों और आकांक्षाओं पर केंद्रित रहे। एक्सेलेंसी, आतंकवाद क्षेत्रीय एवं वैश्विक शांति के लिए प्रमुख खतरा बना हुआ है। हम चुनौती से निपटने के लिए निर्णायक कार्रवाई आवश्यक है। आतंकवाद चाहे किसी भी रूप में हो, किसी भी अभिव्यक्ति में हो, हमें इसके विरुद्ध मिलकर लड़ाई करनी होगी। कुछ देश क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म को अपनी नीतियों के इंस्ट्रूमेंट के रूप में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, आतंकवादियों को पनाह देते हैं। एससीओ को ऐसे देशों की आलोचना में कोई संकोच नहीं करना चाहिए। ऐसे गंभीर विषय पर दोहरे मापदंड के लिए कोई स्थान नहीं होना चाहिए। टेरर फाइनेंसिंग से निपटने के लिए हमें भी आपसी सहयोग बढ़ाना चाहिए। इसमें एससीओ के रेड्स मैकेनिज्म की महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका रही है। हमारे देशों के युवाओं के बीच रेडिकलाइजेशन के फैलावे को रोकने के लिए भी हमें और सक्रिय रूप से कदम उठाने चाहिए। अफगानिस्तान की स्थिति का हम सभी की सुरक्षा पर सीधा प्रभाव पड़ा है। अफगानिस्तान को लेकर भारत की चिंताएं और अपेक्षाएं एससीओ के अधिकांश देशों के समान है। हमें अफगानिस्तान के लोगों के कल्याण के लिए मिलकर प्रयास करने होंगे। अफगान नागरिकों को मानवीय सहायता एक समावेशी सरकार का गठन, आतंकवाद और ड्रग तस्करी के विरुद्ध लड़ाई तथा महिलाओं, बच्चों और अल्पसंख्यकों के अधिकारों को सुनिश्चित करना हमारी साझा प्राथमिकताएं हैं। भारत और अफगानिस्तान के लोगों के बीच सदियों पुराने मैत्रीपूर्ण संबंध रहे हैं। पिछले 2 दशकों में हमने अफगानिस्तान के आर्थिक और सामाजिक विकास के लिए योगदान दिया है। 2021 के घटनाक्रम के बाद भी हम मानवीय सहायता भेजते रहे हैं। यह आवश्यक है कि अफगानिस्तान की भूमि पड़ोसी देशों में अस्थिरता फैलाने या एक्सट्रीमिस्ट विचारधाराओं को प्रोत्साहित करने के लिए उपयोग न की जाए।
The threat is not just of cross-border terrorism from Pakistan or the support that Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror gets from countries like China at the United Nations. The threat is now much wider. Khalistani supporters, for example, have targeted the Indian consulate in San Francisco for the second time in 4 months. Khalistani extremists set the consulate building on fire and filmed the incendiary being hurled at the building. Fortunately, firefighters were able to put out the fire immediately with no loss of either life or any major loss to property. But this just shows Khalistani elements are being emboldened, sadly, not just in the United States, but also in Canada, the United Kingdom and Australia. And the question remains, will governments in the United States, in Canada, in the United Kingdom and Australia, partners of India, strategic partners of India, act against these extremists before it's too late?
A big blaze at the Indian consulate in San Francisco, California. The second such attack on the same consulate in the last 3 months. These images, courtesy local American channel Diya TV, said the video was released by Khalistani terrorists in the US. The act of arson was carried out after hours and was contained quickly with no injuries to anyone. But the act itself has lit a major diplomatic and political fire. Coming as it does just days after the highly successful Modi-Biden Milan in the US. The United States has strongly condemned the incident.
भारत सिखों को बचाने में विश्वास रखता है, ना कि उनका नुकसान पहुंचाने में। इसलिए ये जो लोग कर रहे हैं, ये भारत के भी दुश्मन हैं, सिखों के भी दुश्मन हैं और ये आईएसआई की हालतों में खेलने वाले लोग हैं। मैं विदेशों में बैठे सिखों से आग्रह करता हूं, ऐसे लोगों को आइडेंटिफाई किया जाए और उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए जो हम सिखों को बदनाम करने का काम कर रहे हैं।
Only 3 months ago, as the Punjab police launched a nationwide search for Amritpal Singh in India, Khalistani terrorists vandalized this same Indian consulate building in San Francisco. Videos surfaced of a huge crowd attacking the consulate as Punjabi music blared in the background. A huge piece of graffiti read "Free Amritpal" was spray painted on the outer wall. Protesters shouting pro-Khalistan slogans broke through security barriers to install 2 Khalistani banners inside the consulate premises. They also hit the door and windows with iron rods. The National Investigation Agency, which believes the 2 attacks are almost definitely linked, may soon dispatch a team to the US to conduct an up-close investigation. While those responsible for these attacks are little more than unemployed thugs who owe allegiance to a desperate cause, the Indian government will be treating such incidents as a serious provocation, especially since Khalistani terror groups have now pulled a fresh stunt, publishing the photographs of India's ambassador to the United States, India's Consul General in San Francisco, as well as our diplomats in Canada, all in a desperate effort to raise temperatures ahead of a march to the Indian mission in Toronto this Saturday. Canada, notoriously soft on Khalistani terrorists, has released a statement condemning the dangerous calls to violence against diplomats.
हमारे जो पार्टनर देश जो हैं, जैसे कनाडा है, अमेरिका है, यूके है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया है, जहां कभी-कभी खालिस्तानी एक्टिविटीज़ होती हैं, हमने उनको रिक्वेस्ट की है कि वो उनको खालिस्तानियों को स्पेस न दें, क्योंकि जो उनकी सोच जो है ये रेडिकल एक्सट्रीमिस्ट विचारधारा जो है वो ना हमारे लिए अच्छा है, ना उनके लिए है, ना हमारे रिश्तों के लिए है।
With 4 major Khalistani terrorist leaders bumped off mysteriously in the last few months, a dead cause is gasping for breath, desperate for attention and pulling every kind of stunt possible. But when they attack Indian property and issue suparis on our officials, they must face the consequences. Bureau Report, India Today.
But what's the wider game plan of the Khalistani extremists, terrorists and their supporters? Earlier today, India Today's Shivarur did a deep dive into the sudden spike in activities of Khalistani extremists overseas and some of them being neutralized rather mysteriously. Let's listen in to this conversation.
Well, 4 prominent Khalistanis coincidentally in the last 6 months have all died mysteriously. Many of these Khalistani groups are pointing a finger directly at India, saying it was India's India's covert operations that have managed to bump off these 4 Khalistani thugs in order to send out a warning to Khalistani groups not to provoke anymore in the US, UK, Canada, Australia and elsewhere. Let's get an expert view, but before that I want to introduce you to my guests today to get their perspective on what India has done and what India can do. Lieutenant General Kamaljeet Singh is former Army Commander, Western Army Command. Manbir Singh Kohli is a broadcaster in Sydney. He's also an expert on many of the things that have been happening there vis-a-vis Khalistani groups. Gaurav Sawant is someone who's been looking extremely closely at the Indian state's response to these many provocations and attacks in different parts of the world. But before I go to our 3 guests, I want to give you an overview of some of the actions or options that India has against Khalistanis. Because one of the most common questions that viewers and many people might have is, what can India actually do? Now, in terms of diplomatic actions, and I'm listing things that have either are possible for India to do or have already been activated in some form or the other. Number 1, we can pressure nations like the US, UK, Australia, Canada to book these Khalistani terrorists and thugs. Number 2, you can push the US, Canada, UK to clamp down on, what are a very, very small part of large Indian populations in these countries. Get green cards, residency permits cancelled. Put pressure on those embassies, put pressure on those governments. We can pursue deportation of these so-called Khalistanis back to India. Remember, there's a very, very clear definition that I want to make. There are many who try and conflate Khalistanis with the larger Sikh population in these countries. Nothing could be further from the truth, viewer. Never fall for that narrative. These Khalistanis, those who owe allegiance to a small, narrow terror impulses, are extremely small minorities. Most of them are outcasts within their community and they pursue these violent goals against India. They have nothing to do with the Sikh community. Let's make that very clear. Now, here are some direct action options that India has. Now, remember, many of these things are very easy to say, but they remain theoretically options. Number 1, cancel visas and overseas citizen of India cards, OCI cards. Get the Indian government to cancel them. Identify these people, surgically find out where they live, cancel their visas and residency permits. Number 2, seize their properties. Find out who these Khalistani thugs are in London, in Toronto, Brampton, San Francisco, wherever. Find out what their linkages are back here in India. Seize those properties. Put the pressure on them and their families here. Number 3, freeze their bank accounts. Many of these thugs have to send money back home to their families, to their grandparents, whatever it is. Find out what it is in as humane a way as possible. Turn the screws, apply the pressure, freeze their bank accounts and their assets. Once you start clamping down on the money, see how these cowards fall in line. Number 4, and this is something that's theoretical, and this is what these 4 deaths have been blamed on India: covert assassination operations. There's always the there's always the option of India taking matters into its own hands and conducting covert operations in other countries to bump off these Khalistanis. This is easier said than done, viewer. I'm of course sitting in a studio and talking about it, but remember, in the real world, these are all very much options before the Indian security establishment. Now let's go across first to Gaurav Sawant, who's with me. Gaurav, the San Francisco consulate set ablaze. Pictures of Indian diplomats in the US and Canada put on public display, practically a supari being published by these Khalistani groups before that big march on July the 8th. How has the Indian state responded? What are they planning to do?
Shiv, the Indian state has responded with a lot of concern and anger. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, he said that India expects Canada to take action against the perpetrators and said that this will impact relationship. This clearly, Shiv, is also a violation of the Vienna Convention on diplomatic security. If our diplomats are not safe, if our embassies and consulates are not safe, and remember, they've been targeted in London, they've been targeted in San Francisco, our diplomats are being threatened in Canada. And Shiv, this is something that India has been raising for decades. In fact, when Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, was Prime Minister of England, late Indira Gandhi had raised the issue of Khalistan terror with Pierre Trudeau. Unfortunately, not much was done then. Sadly, not much is being done now, except that the government is taking up this issue very seriously, warning countries that there will be consequences, and India's National Investigation Agency is carrying out an independent investigation, whether in San Francisco or in London, the attack on our missions, and expects governments like the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in Canada to jointly carry out an investigation and come up with the truth and take action against the perpetrators.
Very interesting. The concern has been expressed. Consequences have been threatened. 4, Khalistani terrorists have been bumped off. There appears to be a pattern, but nobody knows who did it. The Khalistanis think the Indian intelligence agencies are responsible, but basically the temperatures are up on this issue, and a big march is going to be mounted in Toronto against the Indian High Commission there. General Singh, if I could come to you now, sir, your perspective on this latest provocation in San Francisco, and what, in your view, General, are India's diplomatic and or direct actions, sir?
Shiv, Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.
Thank you for including me in this program. You have raised a very relevant and pertinent issue. It's a very cowardly kind of an attack in the, in the hours, night hours.
Yeah.
And you're attacking a consulate. A consulate is a place where people from 12 states, I visited that consulate, receive various visa and consular facilities. It covers Silicon Valley and such important areas of USA. And also, you have used an incendiary device, a firebomb kind of thing. It's good that US Fire Department responded in time. There are families and other people who are part of consulate. There are a large number of civilians who are present there. And then you do this kind of activity, and see, these people have no morals or ethics or no values. In Canada, they put out the photograph of our Consul General, who's a lady, Apurva Srivastava. And earlier, what they have done in Brampton, they had put Mrs. Gandhi at the receiving end. So you have to, this is not what Sikhism teaches us. We are not supposed to do such cowardly kind of activities. Indian government has taken some good measures. They have put pressure. But most important thing that I saw is that NIA is going to go to San Francisco, because whatever we do, we have to provide evidence for international dossiers to be given to Interpol, to be given to other agencies, to name and shame. There is certain amount of vote bank compulsion also in these countries.
Of course, yes.
Which somehow retards the action which should be taken. So NIA, when it goes there, puts pressure on these agencies that if you won't do it, we'll certainly do it. It's our concern. And while I don't say that our agencies have done this thing, but people who live by sword should be prepared to perish by sword.
Very, very important point that you're making, sir. Manbir Singh Kohli, Australia has also, been no stranger to attacks and vandalism of this kind. You've, tracked many of these things happening there. Do you feel the Indian state can do more, sir? What is your perspective on this? Because it's happening chiefly in these 4 countries, the US, UK, Australia and Canada.
Yeah, thank you, Shiv, for including me on this. And it's quite a sad discussion, though. But congratulations on your book, Operation Jinn. I've just started reading it.
Thank you.
But at the outset, it's quite deplorable. And any action that hurts or is a threat to civilians, I think needs to be condemned at the outset. And this is quite disgusting. And what it's doing, like Lieutenant General Singh said, that it's bringing a bad name to the Sikhs, who are very hardworking, peace-loving, and great citizens of India. True. So it's dividing our communities. And I think from that standpoint, I deplore this action. Any action that sort of is targeting our consulate, is bringing a bad name to the Sikh community.
Yeah.
And my question always remains, and this has happened in Australia too, we've had cases of vandalism. And unfortunately, the perpetrators, the culprits, have not been identified. I wait for the day when they'll be caught and deported if need be. But, I mean, of course, the government of India is putting pressure. We've got great diplomatic resources. And Prime Minister Modi, when he was in Australia, appealed to our Prime Minister Albanese at the highest level to stop these attacks. But what amazes me is that at the local level, why are these culprits not being caught? In this day and age when there's so much surveillance across the world, why can't a person who's undertaking that action 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, why aren't they identified and caught?
Yeah. I think you make an excellent and very, very specific point. We're going to leave it there for the moment, but I know for a fact that the Indian government will be watching this show, because I get feedback, from the security establishment about the things we raise and the people we bring on. Surveillance. If you live by the sword, be prepared to die by the sword, which is, I think, one of the most significant things that can be said in the aspect of what has basically taken place at this point of time. Remember that this Saturday is going to be that big march in Toronto by a large number of these Khalistanis against the Indian High Commission, and Canada is helpless to do anything about it. This despite a practical supari being published against Indian officials. That is the state of things in Canada. And I think the word that was mentioned by both General Singh and Manbir Singh Kohli is extremely important. This has nothing to do with the Sikh community. The Sikh community are proud citizens of India and citizens of the countries in which they have chosen to live, and they have nothing to do with this tiny minority of terrorists who owe no allegiance to anything but violence against India. Let that be very, very clear to everyone watching this. Thank you, Manbir Singh Kohli. Thank you, General Singh. Thank you, Gaurav, for being with me.
Shifting focus to the other big story on India first, is the Uttarakhand model of the Uniform Civil Code likely to be the template for the Common Civil Law? After the parliamentary panel meeting on the Uniform Civil Code, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami went to 7 Lok Kalyan Marg and met Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Dhami is believed to have briefed the Prime Minister on the likely draft of the state expert panel on the UCC. Earlier, Dhami also met Union Home Minister Amit Shah. The draft could also serve as a guiding document for the ongoing deliberations by the 22nd Law Commission of India.
The debate over UCC rages on as the Modi government continues to hold a slew of meetings to bring the reform. A day after meeting, Home Minister Amit Shah, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami met Prime Minister Modi in the national capital. Dhami, remember, has been battling for UCC to be brought to Uttarakhand and has prepared a draft as well for the same.
यूसीसी कमेटी का ड्राफ्ट कंप्लीट रूप से हमें नहीं मिला है और उनका ड्राफ्ट जब मिलेगा तो उस पर तभी कुछ कह पाना संभव होगा। हम बहुत देर भी नहीं करेंगे और जल्दबाजी में जो है ऐसा काम भी नहीं होगा कि जो है कि कोई ऊपर का नीचे हो जाए।
Importantly, one of the committee members who prepared the UCC draft in Uttarakhand also accompanied Chief Minister Dhami for the meeting with Prime Minister Modi. The meeting comes a day after a parliamentary panel huddle came together to discuss Uniform Civil Code. Interestingly, Chairman of Parliamentary Panel on Law and BJP MP Sushil Modi pitched for keeping tribals out of the ambit of any proposed UCC and noted that all laws have exceptions.
The chairperson, Sushil Modi, said perhaps the tribals in the northeast could be kept out of the ambit of it. But then the opposition members countered, what was the use if there was no uniformity, and also the entire exercise was completely rendered futile.
यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड एक ह्यूमैनिटेरियन इशू है और मुद्दे क्या हैं? सक्सेशन, इनहेरिटेंस, मैरिज, कस्टडी, डाइवोर्स. उस पे यदि हम कंसेंसस नहीं ला सकते हैं तो ये जो हम कहते हैं कि इंडिया इज अ डाइवर्स कंट्री, उसका मतलब क्या रहा?
Meanwhile, even as the Law Commission has been seeking opinions from regional groups, the Jamiyat Ulama-e-Hind has prepared its reply. Jamiyat head Arshad Madni will send its opinion that Muslims will not accept any law that is against Shariat and hence oppose the Uniform Civil Code.
नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार वो ये चाहती है कि मुसलमानों के शरई अहकाम को कुचल करके हम जो है वो यहाँ पर राज करें, ऐसा मंजूर नहीं है. हम उनका विरोध करेंगे. हिंदुस्तान का एक एक मुसलमान काले कानून की मुखालफत करेगा.
As speculation grows on whether the BJP will table the UCC bill in the upcoming monsoon session, can the Saffron Party ensure more consensus over the reform? Bureau Report, India Today.
We will continue to track developments on the story very closely. That is all I have for you on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching. Sakshi Batra up next with Business Today.
Amit, what is the amount of money that you have sort of put into the entire business? How large is it today? And what is the inventory that you have that is to be sold?
So look, as I said, we have contributed the historical land, so to speak, because as I have maintained all along, and even in that article, that we have been sitting right there during the COVID time, cash flow positive on this project. Even we took a debt on the second project, but even there also the cash flow generation has been far higher. If you are selling the building to the tune of 80%, your ability is always a milestone collection, and our collection milestones are achieving quite quickly. So we do not see a challenge of getting the money back from the customers. So when we get the money from the customers, it enables a cash flow positive. So therefore, what our contribution is primarily on the land, and initially we have put some small money. However, now inventory, when we talk about, in the first two projects, as I mentioned, 80% is sold, so only 20% is left. On the third project, as we speak today, I think close to 30% has been sold, and we are looking anything between in the next 2 years to sell another 30-40% of that. So now practically we are already sold out for the various projects. Now we have already signed a joint development agreement in Bandra, which we should be launching over the next few months. Now the whole growth story for the real estate business, because Thane is still an finite land. We have 60 acres to more, but you need to expand. And real estate is not a business only to monetize land. It is a business, core business for us. And that is why we did the demerger. So you will have a real estate pure play and you have a lifestyle pure play. Now in real estate, we are partnering with various people, as our board has taken two primary decisions. One, we will not put money behind the land. We will not buy land at all. And we will not move out of MMR, because it is much better to stay in this region. You have a better grip. You can monitor closely and manage things better. So now we are getting enough and more JDA projects. One is already signed, and I think few are on an advanced stage of discussion, and that will give us a good opportunity.
and welcome you with us here on Business Today. Here are the top stories at this hour. World could be headed for another crippling semiconductor shortage with China and the US on a collision course. China restricts exports of rare minerals in a tit-for-tat move could lead to long wait times for consumers. Markets hit new highs for a fifth session. Slide on profit booking in the later half of the day. Sensex still up 274 points. Nifty up 66 points. Bajaj twins shine in trade. Market guru Mahesh Nandurkar of Jefferies, exclusive on the show today, says he remains bullish on small and mid-cap stocks. Agrees that some valuations on D Street could be high, but says India's macro story remains compelling. Aam Aadmi Hero makes a move for the luxury segment, partners Harley-Davidson in developing its first high-end product. Exclusive conversations with top management of both companies on the show. Second big launch of this action-packed week, Kia unveils its 2023 Seltos. SUV gets a modified front fascia with ADAS2 capabilities and a refreshed interior. Bookings to open on the 14th. High-tech industries are staring at a possibility of a fresh chip shortage with geopolitical restrictions challenging not only expansion plans but semiconductor availability as well. In a tit-for-tat move, China has restricted exports of two minerals critical to chips and radar systems as a counter to increased controls by the US and Netherlands on sales of chip-making equipment.
The past couple of months have seen some of the biggest names in big tech. Apple CEO Tim Cook, Tesla CEO Elon Musk, and Microsoft founder Bill Gates visit China, strengthening existing ties and looking for new business. All of them sending across a message that all is well with China. But the reality is different. On Monday, China announced it will restrict the export of gallium and germanium, two components critical for chips and radar systems. The restrictions will kick in from the 1st of August, with China saying it was doing so to protect national security interests. Germanium ores are rare, with China producing around 60% of the world's supply. The rest comes from Canada, Finland, Russia and the United States. It is used in infrared technology, fiber optic cables and solar cells. Gallium, meanwhile, is found in trace amounts in zinc ores and in bauxite, and around 80% is produced in China. It is used in electronics. Only a few companies, one in Europe and the rest in Japan and China, can make it at the required purity. China has now weaponized these rare minerals in its economic war with the West. The counterpunch follows decision by the US and Netherlands to restrict sales of chip-making equipment as part of their ongoing effort to prevent technology from being used to strengthen China's armed forces. A global shortage of gallium is expected to weaken the Western market's ability to progress to 6G, raise the cost of the West 5G build-out, given it doesn't use ZTE and Huawei, and lower the output of non-Chinese smartphone makers. Meanwhile, China's optical fiber market will likely benefit from the export curbs, as 30% of the global germanium output is used for optical fiber production. While the Dutch are planning to curb certain equipment from ASML and other companies, the US is expected to go one step further and use its long reach to withhold even more Dutch equipment from specific Chinese fabs. The US had earlier in October imposed export restrictions on shipments of American chip-making tools to China from US companies like Lam Research and Applied Materials on national security grounds, and lobbied other countries with key suppliers to adopt similar curbs. The industry is meanwhile worried. Having just emerged from a crippling post-COVID semiconductor shortage, another disruption in supply chains is a nightmare no one is looking forward to. Every tech industry had taken a hit. Car production fell to all-time lows, with waiting periods extending into years. Mobile phone manufacturers had to delay launches, with even Apple unable to meet festive season demand last year. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
Equity markets continue to rally today. D Street witnessing another historic session. Muted global sentiment, however, pulled the market slightly lower towards the end. Constant buying by overseas investors and a lack of negative triggers supporting bourses. For the day, Sensex was up close to 300 points. Nifty also up 66 points at a fresh closing peak of 19,389. Top gainers today, the Bajaj Twins, Hero Motocorp, Tech Mahindra and Sun Pharma. On the downside, Eicher Motors, Bharti Airtel, Grasim, Axis Bank and Reliance lagging behind somewhat today. With markets hitting new highs every day for the past few sessions, investors are wondering how long will the good times last. There are questions on whether it's the right time to enter markets or even about which stocks and sectors have steam left. India Today Group's global business editor Udayan Mukherjee posed some of these questions in his conversation with market guru Mahesh Nandurkar, MD and Head of Research, Jefferies.
I was just having a conversation with a very old-timer fund manager, mutual fund manager, and he said that the macro story for India is great, but valuations are still not compelling and not challenging, and quite challenging. Would you agree with that, or would you say that it's a good entry point for India now?
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, you actually are absolutely right. I would kind of echo the sentiments. I do believe that the macro story is looking very compelling for sure. Quite confident about 15% plus earnings growth, which is like one of the highest that we've seen, that we will be seeing in any of the major markets globally. So yeah, all that is looking quite well. But yeah, what valuations is definitely sticking out. When the markets corrected earlier in February or so, when the Nifty was at around 17,000, it was looking pretty interesting, but the markets have moved up pretty quickly, up about 10% or so from there. And yes, many stocks and sectors are looking expensive at this point in time. Yeah.
There is a fear in certain quarters in the market that during the course of this year, we'll get another spike in volatility, and you may even get the market back to the kind of levels which you found interesting. Do you expect something like that? I know it cannot be predicted, events cannot be predicted, but is it a likelihood in your eyes?
I think the event that will probably create volatility in the Indian markets will probably have to be a global event or an international event. I do not foresee too many negative or let's say big negative events for the Indian markets, which will be domestically caused. My sense is that you will probably see, or you could probably see some volatility created by either some unexpected change, say in the Fed policy, or some other kind of dislocation that might happen in the capital markets globally or something like that. But as far as the developments domestically go, to me it looks unlikely.
How would you position a portfolio right now for people? Domestic investors are as invested in the market right now. They've not pulled out any money. But at this point, would it make sense to stay with mid caps and small caps, which have started performing again, or would it be better to be with large caps at a time when valuations are not very low?
Yeah, a very fair and pertinent question. So then, in fact, we did publish a research note on the same topic. What I believe is that, so as you rightly said at the outset, the broader market valuations are looking a bit on the higher side. And that is what is, making the investors a bit uncomfortable. But I believe that the mid caps and the small cap space definitely offers more upside and the more risk reward. And the reason is not so much the choice of the market capitalization itself, but it's more to do with what the mid cap and small cap actually represent. The mid cap and small cap actually represent the India story. And what I mean by that is if you just look at the Nifty 50, the large cap index, then you will see that the proportion of outward looking sectors like the IT, pharma, steel, oil and gas, other sort of commodities accounts for roughly 35 to 40% of market cap. And 60%, 65% is the domestic oriented stocks. Whereas the same proportion for mid cap and small cap index is roughly about 80% plus. And I, for one, definitely believe that given where the global environment is, it makes sense to be more overweight and more optimistic position on the domestic oriented sectors and stocks rather than outward looking sectors. And from that context, I believe mid cap and small caps offer better upside and better risk reward. Also, I want to highlight one more point as well, which is that our favorite sectors has been real estate and industrial, or let's say the capex cycle plays. And once again, those sectors are very thinly represented in large cap indices. Once again, that number is like about 5% of the Nifty market cap is in those sectors. Whereas if you look at mid cap, small cap, that proportion is higher than 20%. So yeah, so those are the reasons, then I would say that the mid caps and small cap look more interesting at this point in time.
It's an interesting point that you make because I can't remember when L&T was actually a big performer in the index. I mean, it's gone through probably a decade and a half, since the 2007, 2008 bust up, that it's not had any role of even some kind of semblance of leadership for the market. Do you think the time is coming where some of these kind of heavyweight stocks, which traditionally would make up a core part of a person's portfolio, maybe 15 years ago, they could start leading the market again?
Yeah, I definitely think so, that there is a greater acceptance of the investment cycle, upcycle, which is showing signs of unfolding in India and which could be a multi-year story. But the key problem that we face when we speak to large investors is that there aren't any large and liquid stocks to play that story on. And some of the large cap names also have issues with with the ESG related issues as well. Hopefully those get sorted out. But as things stand today, yes, some of those large cap names do have some ESG issues, and that's why the focus is going towards more mid cap, small cap names. But I completely agree with you that investment cycle plays and capex related plays is I guess the way to go, because those stocks will likely deliver a much better outperformance.
What's the right way to play this? Because some people choose to play it through the companies which are delivering the capex and working on it. Others choose to play safe and play the lenders. What's the right approach to this capex upcycle, if there is indeed going to be one?
I would say that the best way to play is, there are multiple choices that you have, as you rightly said, but I believe the best and the most the best risk reward, I would say, would be the direct way to play that. So I would actually also include real estate developers as well into that list, because many a time when we talk about capex cycle, we actually leave out the largest portion of the capex activities in the country, which is actually the real estate development. So I would actually include that as one of the most direct ways of playing. But there are other ways of playing as well: contractors, the capital goods companies, the automation companies, and essentially the companies that are going into kind of delivering either the services or the goods that go into building of infrastructure, building of housing units, and building of new capacities. So that would include names like cement, etc. as well, apart from the capital goods and the contractors and the real estate developers. But yes, if you are looking at some of the large names and more liquid names, then some of the lenders as well make a lot of sense. I would particularly draw attention to some of the banks that have been laggard recently. Those include some of the PSU names as well. So lenders is definitely one large and liquid way to play that.
What's going on with the HDFC family, Mahesh? It's always been those blue chips which nobody ever sells from the portfolio. Yet you ask investors over the last few years, there seems to be an air of disenchantment. Do you think they'll rediscover their magic?
Well, then I will not be able to comment on individual stocks here. But one thing that I can say is that among the the traditional large cap sort of banking sector companies, many of these names are also very well owned, both by the international investors as well as the domestic investors as well. So I think we'll also have to take into account the ownership factors here as well. Over the last I would say over the last few months, many of the investors have been talking about change of leadership at various large cap companies in India. That includes some of the banks, some of the consumer companies, and also some of the industrial names as well. And some of these leaders have been at the helm for the last 5 years, 10 years, and some even 20 plus years as well. So there has been that level of comfort that has got developed, over a period of time between the investors and and the stocks of the companies. And with so in fact, we were doing this analysis, and more than 25% of the large caps by market cap are actually undergoing are going through a period of leadership change at the top. So some of those factors are also going to be impacting these names.
Watch the entire interview on our social media handle and YouTube Business Today. Let's take a very quick break. When we return, Hero charts a new luxury path with iconic US bike maker Harley Davidson.
People often donate heart and eyes, but now you can also donate your skin. North India's first skin bank is ready in Delhi's Safdarjung Hospital. Eligible deceased donors can donate skin and give someone a new lease of life. Burn victims can immensely benefit from these skin banks for their graft surgeries.
स्किन बैंकिंग में ये खास बात है कि इसमें कोई मैचिंग की जरूरत नहीं है। कोई भी पेशेंट स्किन डोनेट कर सकता है। उस मरीज की, उस डिजीज़ की दी हुई स्किन किसी भी दूसरे मरीज में इस्तेमाल हो सकती है। ना कोई ब्लड ग्रुपिंग मैचिंग चाहिए, ना कोई और HLA मैचिंग चाहिए। और जिसमें ये स्किन हमने लगाई है उसको जीवन में कोई स्टेरॉयड और इम्यूनोसप्रेसेंट्स खाने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है।
Safdarjung Hospital authorities are also doing everything they can to make people aware about skin donation. With the help of specialized equipment and proven techniques, donated skin is processed and stored in bank before transplantation.
इतने सारे वार्ड्स हैं जो भी नए डॉक्टर्स ज्वाइन करते हैं, जूनियर रेजिडेंट्स हैं, वो ज्वाइन करते हैं तो उनको सेमिनार्स लेके, उनको इन्फॉर्म करके उनको बताया जाएगा। डेथ फॉर्म है, जब हम लोग उसको साइन करते हैं तो उसमें भी हम सोच सकते हैं कि हम उसमें भी ऐड करा दें कि हम आई डोनेशन के लिए विलिंग हैं और स्किन डोनेशन के लिए विलिंग हैं।
As of now, there are 16 skin banks across the country, and here's hoping that this latest center in Delhi opens the doors for many more such skin banks in India. With Neetu Jha, Bureau Report, India Today.
Quality today. In Delhi, 182. In Mumbai, 50. In Kolkata, 53. In Bangalore, 44. In Chennai, 100. In Hyderabad, 27.
this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mode.
Welcome back. In a big boost for Indian tech sector, HP will begin manufacturing its high-end computer servers in the country. HP has signed an initial pact with VVDN Technologies, under which servers worth $1 billion will be manufactured in the next few years. Interestingly, the announcement comes just a few days after Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited US and met top industry leaders.
Recently, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, he approved a PLI scheme for hardware IT. Under that scheme, we are very happy that HP Enterprises has decided to start manufacturing their high-end servers in India. So it's a big thing. In the coming 4 to 5 years, HP Enterprises will be almost reaching $1 billion turnover in India. So these high-end, very complex machines, getting them manufactured in India shows how mature the electronics manufacturing industry is now coming up to.
Hero MotoCorp is changing gears. The company, which with its iconic tagline, "Fill it, shut it, forget it," captured the Indian entry-level bike market, is now eyeing the premium segment. Chetan Bhatani caught up with Hero MotoCorp's chairman Pawan Munjal and Hyokain Zaid's CEO Harley Davidson at the launch of their first co-developed product, the X440.
What the brand means for India, sir, the premium motorcycling, and of course for Hero MotoCorp, entering from an Aam Aadmi segment to a premium motorcycle, that to a super luxury premium motorcycling, sir. How does it feel as a brand, sir?
Well, the brand Harley Davidson, of course, is already present in India, now being distributed by Hero very successfully. There has been a very successful transition from Harley's earlier business model to the current business model of distribution. So the brand is very well known, very popular here. There is a large set of customers who were wanting the Harley Davidson brand, but it was out of reach for them. Now, with the introduction and the launch of the Harley Davidson X440 this evening, booking starting tomorrow, Harley Davidson brand is going to become in the reach and affordable for many, many more consumers who would want a Harley Davidson, which is exactly what we are wanting to do.
So how excited are you when it comes to, tying up with Hero MotoCorp, one of the largest motorcycling companies in the world? Harley Davidson also one of the biggest names in the super premium luxury segment of motorcycling. How does it feel to tie up with Hero and eventually trying to get a good market share in India?
Well, very excited. First of all, we never left India. Yeah. I changed the business model to be more successful than we have been in the past by truly partnering with one of the leaders in